So, what if everything we think we know about the AI crisis in education is just wrong? Today, we're getting a special sneak peek into a really provocative new book that's set to reframe this entire conversation. It's from Dr. Alexandra Sidorkin, a professor, sure, but also a former dean, an author of 9 other books, and a major voice on where learning is headed. And his big argument is that to really get a handle on the future, we have to start by listening to a 6-year-old boy.
Right, so let me tell you about Theo. He's 6. He gives his grandfather a simple, sweet idea for a story about a friendly dragon. His grandfather, trying to be helpful, plugs it into ChatGPT, and out comes this, elaborate, polished tale. But when he reads it back to Theo, the kid isn't wowed. He just shakes his head and says, flat out, "That is not my story." And in that one little sentence, Theo he nails it. He puts his finger on the single biggest tension of our AI age. The machine made the story better in every technical way, but in the process, it made it less his.
And that really gets us to the core question the book grapples with, a question that's so much bigger than just one story. How do we, all of us, use these incredibly powerful new tools to learn and to grow without losing that essential human spark that makes a story our story?
To even begin to answer that, the book makes a really bold claim. It says we're looking at this AI crisis completely backwards. We see AI as the disease that's infecting education. But what if it's not the disease at all? What if it's the diagnostic tool?
And this right here, this is the central idea of the whole book. AI isn't the problem itself, it's a stress test. It's like an earthquake. An earthquake doesn't create buildings with weak foundations. It just reveals which ones were poorly built all along. In exactly the same way, AI is just exposing the cracks and the weaknesses that have been hiding in our education system for a very, very long time.
So this reframe forces us to make a choice. If we see AI as the cause, we get stuck in this pointless arms race. We're chasing our tails with detection software and trying to invent AI-proof assignments, which is a losing battle. But if we see AI as a stress test, it forces us to admit something much harder, that the problem isn't the new technology. It's what we were asking students to do all along. And that means we don't just need a patch, we need a fundamental rebuild from the ground up.
And that rebuild, well, it starts by taking on our biggest fears head-on. First up, the massive panic that AI is going to unleash this tidal wave of cheating and academic dishonesty.
Now, this is a tough pill to swallow. The book argues that the main reason it's so easy for students to cheat with AI is that we were often asking them for work that was already robotic to begin with. You know what I'm talking about. That formulaic 5-paragraph essay, the fill-in-the-blanks lab report. We were rewarding students for performance and for following a template, not for actual genuine thinking. AI didn't invent the inauthenticity. It just put it on autopilot.
This is where we get to what the book calls the shell game. See, for years, education has been obsessed with what you might call formal originality, making sure the words are in a unique sequence that a plagiarism checker won't flag. But an AI can do that in 2 seconds. And by focusing on that, we've completely ignored what actually matters: substantive originality, the unique contribution of a thought, of an idea. We've been rewarding the empty shell instead of looking for the peak.
And this isn't even a new idea. The Russian philosopher Mikhail Bakhtin nailed this decades ago. He said that any word we use is already half someone else's. It's filled with the echoes and intentions of others. What he meant is that real creativity isn't about making something from absolutely nothing. It's about being in a conversation with all the voices that came before you. So this whole panic about AI plagiarism, it kind of misunderstands what creativity even is.
All right, let's move on to the next big myth the book wants to bust. And this one is baked deep into our culture. The belief that struggle, that pure grinding effort, is the same thing as learning. That no pain, no gain philosophy applied to our brain.
But cognitive science tells a very different story. Our brains have a finite amount of bandwidth, of working memory. And a ton of the effort we demand in school is what scientists call extraneous cognitive load. It's basically just wasted mental energy. Think of all the hours students have spent trying to perfectly format a bibliography, or fiddling with margins, or just trying to figure out what a confusing assignment is even asking. That's not learning, it's just busy work. And it's busy work that AI can now vaporize, freeing up our brains for the stuff that actually matters. The whole point of all that old-school practice, like memorizing multiplication tables, was always to get to a state of cognitive freedom, right? To make the basics so automatic that your mind is free to think about bigger, more complex problems. That's internal automaticity, and it takes years of drills. But now, AI offers a shortcut. It gives us external automaticity, handling the mechanical stuff instantly. The destination is the same, a mind that's free to really think, but the path to get there is now completely different.
And this is where the book takes a really fascinating and surprising turn. It pulls in a theological argument from St. Augustine. For centuries, education has operated on a system of merit. You have to suffer, you have to struggle to earn your knowledge, to earn your grade. But Augustine's whole point about grace was that it's a gift, it's unearned help. The book suggests that maybe we should see AI as a kind of educational grace, a gift that frees us from what it calls this moral economy of suffering, so we can finally focus on real, joyful learning.
Okay, so if we're not just measuring word originality, and we're not just rewarding grinding effort, what should we be teaching? This is where the book pivots from tearing down the old ideas to building a new vision. And it's all about what it calls our new human superpowers. The first, and maybe the most important, is something called extended executive cognition. This isn't just about being smart yourself. It's about being the project manager of your own thinking. Think of yourself as the conductor of an orchestra. You have to know which instrument, which cognitive resource, human or AI, is right for which part of the symphony. It's the master skill of managing this new human-AI partnership.
Superpower number 2 is one of my favorites, eloquent emptiness detection. Let's be real. AI is amazing at producing text that sounds incredibly smart, super fluent, and very impressive, but is often completely hollow, just a word salad with no actual meaning. This skill is our new critical literacy. It's the ability to see through that polished nonsense and recognize when there's no there.
And finally, there's the ethics of answerability. This is a really simple but incredibly profound idea. At the end of the day, you are always responsible. The AI can help, it can draft, it can suggest, but the human, that's you, is the one who is ultimately answerable for whatever you create together. The buck stops with you. You cannot blame the bot. You are always the adult in the room.
So how can you put these ideas into practice, like right now? Well, the book offers this brilliantly simple tool for anyone who gives assignments. It's called the Lazy Prompt Test. Step 1, copy your assignment instructions. Step 2, paste them word for word into a chatbot. Step 3, look at what it spits out. If that output would earn a passing grade, your assignment has failed the test. It means you're testing for things a machine can do, and it's time for a redesign that actually requires those human superpowers we just talked about.
And this brings us right back to where we started, with 6-year-old Theo. He was actually practicing these superpowers without even knowing it. He was using eloquent emptiness detection, recognizing the AI story wasn't his story, and his rejection was an act of answerability. But the book leaves us with a bigger question. What happens when we, unlike Theo, consciously and thoughtfully choose to invite AI into our process, to make it part of our story?
The conclusion of the book is really powerful and, honestly, incredibly hopeful. AI isn't some alien invader here to replace us. It's a tool. It's a new kind of collaborator, and right now, we are the ones who get to decide how it gets woven into our collective human story. It's a story that we're all just beginning to write, together.
This has been just a little sneak peek into the framework from Dr. Alexander Sidorkin's upcoming book. If you want to dive deeper into all these ideas, keep an eye out for it from Routledge in 2026. Because the real question it leaves us with is this. Now that the machines can do all the mechanical work, are we finally ready to do the truly hard and truly human work of thinking?